Oichila loke lachale pano shalom imenu maneloshoy Asher bekalom. Yosef, help us out. Ashiro zoy Aviyarin anoy Yad mifala Liyada Himachele Umei Hashem Maneloshoy Hashem Sivos Aitivto Ufi Yagid Ilosecha Yoda Himachele Umei Hashem Maneloshoy Hashem Sivos Aitivto Ufi Yagid Ilosecha Agut Yoraboisai Zchulei Nishmas Miral Mordechai. How's everybody's Yom Tov? Somebody came over to me now and he said he davened for me. He promises twice. I got a phone call from one of the guys in the kollel, Rabbi Yaakov. He said, you're the only one that I davened for 8 times. Why? Because I asked for it. You gotta ask. Sometimes you gotta ask. I know you davened for me. You told me on Yom Tov. So I'm not gonna put you on the spot. Lamaisa, who davened for me here? Really, Emes? Emes? Wow, not bad, not bad. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the video and watch that again. Thank you for all those who davened for me. I need it.
You're the center of everybody's life.
But you didn't raise your hand.
I did a small one.
A small one. Shkoyach, I appreciate it. See, I'm paying attention who did it. Ravi Schoenberg, you down for me? What happened? You forgot? Oh, come on. When you down for yourself, you also down for Klal Yisroel? Wow. Ravi Schoenberg. You got to lead the way. All right. So, what do I want to say? I don't even know. Oh, we have some guests here. Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? You're not such a guest, but what's your name? Hillel from? Bet Shemesh. We already said hello to you. You're Gil. Who else? Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? Wie sei? Burg Feig from Vanen? Shkoyach, you're sitting in the wrong seat. You know, Bar Parker sit in the back over there. Okay, you have courage, Shmak. Venach. If you guys are hiding, so you not so new.
Bruce
Kessler from Efrat. Bruce, you said? Yeah. Shalom Aleichem from Efrat. Okay. How's it going? It's quiet, no? It's not so dangerous, is it? To drive from there to here? No. Okay, good. Baruch Hashem.
This guy had the news that the IDF killed Hashem.
Wow. Tough stuff. Hello, Manishma. How are you? The kollel for the month. Binyomin Rosenfeld, Hatzlach in business. The Masechta for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh, Li Nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe, Li Nishmas Chai bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh, Binyomin Rosenfeld. For the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. Parnas HaShavua, Li Nishmas פיגא Miral bas Avraham. It might be the last day. We might have to do another day or two because we didn't really do it the other day, I don't think. The Parnas HaShavua, last day, Sheldon and Donna Reich, in memory of Donna's father, Nachum ben Pinchas HaLevi, and Sheldon's father, Noach Ben Yehuda made the Nishamot have an Aliyot. Parnas Shavua, official Mitzvah Motivators, leading Nishmas. Boish Shmuel ben Menashe Blaustein and Refuah Shlema Tinoik ben Alten Nechama. Parnas Hayoy, Mordechai Sapoznick, Lzaicher Nishmas, his great grandfather, Horav Elchonon Teitz, Horav Elchonon Zev ben Binyomin Avrohom Yaakov, he visited a few times. The Rogatshov is and Rav Meir Simcha Devinsk. Business Shom have an Aliyot, maybe a military for the entire Mishpach and all of Klal Yisroel. In the heart of the month, for zchusim, for rebellion, the whole MDY staff, to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. This Bezer Hashem is the first of 3 shiurim that I plan on delivering tonight, if everything goes well. After this shir, there's a shir on Kuf Gimel in Hebrew, and then on Kuf Beis in Hebrew. Anybody that wants to stick around for the Hebrew is welcome. It's the same exact thing, basically. All right, so we are holding Kuf Aleph Amud Beis. By the way, there was a beautiful oilam here. There was basically every seat was taken on Rosh Hashanah, both days. It was a tremendous chizuk for me, and I think for everybody that was here. A few people, I said it, I just threw it out there, and people told me during shir and after shir, I said, this might be the first time that some of you are learning Torah on Rosh Hashanah. And a guy who was 42 years old, he said, yes, it's the first time I'm ever learning Torah. Who has time to learn Torah? Usually, there might be a little time, but people are tired and this, you take a little nap, even though you're not supposed to maybe, after chatzais, But to sit down and open up a Gemara, some people say some Tehillim, first time. It's mechazik people. That's a great way to start the year with Torah. And just letting people know, we're going to be learning here Motzei Yom Tov, next Motzei Shabbos, which is Yom Kippur. We'll be here, right here, with the kittel, without the kittel, depending if there's time to take it off, to prepare. We'll be here, Be'ezer Hashem. So, that being said, Tanan awesome. Daf Kuf Aleph Amud Beis on the bottom. Hamotzei meis mushkov kedarkoi. We're talking about finding a nifter. Now, here in Eretz Yisrael, it's very common. There are people who dig to build, and they find bodies here. There's bodies everywhere. There's basic farms, there's farm everywhere. In fact, if you were to build a building here, even if there was no body, somebody will find a body there. They will put the body in there, and they'll say you can't build. It's just something that happens here. And if you pay the right amount of money, the bodies go away and everything becomes good. Those who know. But what if you find a body? You find a mace. Now, the other day, we're discussing on Yom Tov. If you look at the Rashbam on Amud Aleph, you see a whole diagram of this whole cave system, whole system of kuchen, of chambers within the mountain. So if you found a mace, maybe you have to worry that you're part of a whole elaborate system, a whole base of kfaras, maybe a whole cave. So first of all, there's a number of things here. There's mushkav kedarkoi. There's a dead person laying in the regular manner. What does that mean? So we know, unfortunately, we went to a few levais in our lifetime. A Jewish mace is buried, laying on his back, straight, with his hands like this usually. So if you found a dead person in a standing position, standing up like this, you dig, you find the skull. You dig a little bit more, you find the shoulders, you find the spine. Standing up. You could assume it's not a Jewish person. What if he's sitting? What if he's in a fetal position? These are not ways that we bury the dead. But you found a dead person laying down on his back, mamish, the whole way. But you only found one. So the halacha is noit loy vestfusasa. Now, if you knew that this guy was buried here, you knew that there's a grave. It's not part of a base of kfaras, but they buried a guy here. They buried him and everything. You're not allowed to move him. You don't have a right to move a dead person. A person is koine as makon. Yet, If you find one guy, it's possible that it was a temporary burial. They ran out of time. Let's say it was Erev Shabbos. Let's say they're running away. It's during a war. Lo Yaleinu. Took a guy, buried him real quick with major plans to come back after the war. Come back. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Maybe they themselves died. They forgot where it is. I don't know what. So since they buried him in a temporary caver, you're permitted to move him. If you want to make sure that other people don't walk over it and it causes tumah, you have a reason. So what do? You take the dead together with the soft dirt below it. It's not pleasant, but maybe it contains some of the body. It decomposed into the ground, so it's soft. Below that, you take another 3 tfachim. 3 tfachim by 6 tfachim by 3 amas, whatever the size of a body is. You take all that and you move it. That's if you find 1. Shnayim, if you find 2. Noitlam v'stfusasa, talking about Gaza. So Gush Katif, they had to take out all the bodies. Why? They're abundant passing. You can't leave the bodies there. What would they do with it? We know what they do in Har Zaysim. What are they going to do over there in Gaza? So it's B'zoyin HaMeis. It was up to them to make a public bathroom over there. So it was covered HaMeis. To certain situations, you're allowed to move. They were saying that some Sofer, they tried to take his body out. They couldn't. The Goyim weren't successful with it. People died, whatever. So they built a train right over his caver. So today's caver is under the tracks. If you know the Goyim are about to build a train station, maybe luckily you're allowed to. Mustami, you're allowed to. I wouldn't advise anybody to do it. Let somebody else do it for you. Do your neighbor, not you yourself. It's dangerous. Motzah Daf Beis Amud Aleph. Motzah Shloisha. Oh, now this is already serious. You find 3 bodies. What does that tell us? 3 bodies means that you found the basic forest. You found the whole system. You found the cave. Now there's no cave. Why is there no cave? Everything collapsed. My nephew, he should be safe. He's learning to be a general. He's whatever, or how do you say mefaked? Commander, not general. Commander. Young kid. He learned right here behind this wall in the yeshiva here. So he came to my house on Yom Tov, and he said, we were schmoozing about different things. He says, not everybody's Zaycha. They think it's so easy. It's a zchus to get rid of one of the enemies. Not everybody's Zaycha. But he told me, he said, they smell after they die, the enemy. He says, we bury them. How? Take a D9, run them over. Smush, smush, a little dirt, Shalom Yisrael, pancake. That's how it is. Mamish like that. Covered a mace. So if, this whole cave system collapses, there's no cave. I don't know if there was a cave, you go, it's like in Sanhedria, here, what is it called over here? Bet Guvrin, you see the caves. Okay, it's a cave. But you found 3 bodies, you don't know if it's part of a cave or not. So, before I forget this halacha, it's just very interesting, because people told me, I think even Rabbi Schoenberg might have said, that halachically, you're allowed to bury if you, let's say somebody can't afford these graves in Har Menuchas. It costs more than penthouse in the old city. Buy a grave. So there's a trick. Buy a grave. You bury somebody really deep down in the grave. You cover with 6 tfachim of dirt. And you bury again. It's 100% mutter la'alach. Bunk bed. 3, triple layer, 5 layer. Whole mishpacha. Just down it. All you have to do is buy one. The Chaver Kiddush is probably not going to be very happy. Charge you a nice amount every time. But that's halachically okay if you do 6. That's why in Har Menuchas, in the new, those chambers, there's only this much. It's cement. I don't know how they get away with it. Maybe cement is different. And that's why a lot of Rabbanim said, no, yes, okay. Did you write about it oh, you did write about it. Oh, 2 years ago. I can't remember last week. He told me 2 years ago. I know. How many pieces already? 89? 189? Beis Hashem, a safer soon, no? If you were Rabbi Pesman, you'd have 16 Sfarim already. Zog the Gemara. So if you have, they are laid out within 4 amas of each other, or up to 8 amas. So now, let's take a look at this for a second. Remember this is how it goes. There's a ma'ara, there's a room, and off the room you have these chambers. Now you found 3 bodies. It's possible, says the Gemara, that you found something that's a 4x8 chamber. Here's a 4x8 ma'ara. And the 3 bodies that you found, they might be from the short wall also, or from the long wall. Now the question is, if they're on the short wall, everybody remembers, how much does a body take up? 1 amma. How much space do you need between each chamber? 1 amma. 1 amma. So if you have 3 bodies and 2 ear spaces, how much is that total? 5. How are 3 bodies going to fit on a 4 amma wall? So we have to say that, as the Mishnah told us, that it depends on how solid the sela, hakolafia sela. If you have a very solid, it could be concrete. You don't need an amma for concrete. Concrete could be this thin. So too, if it's made out of like solid stone, it could be 2 tvachim also. Okay, so now your 2 earways, the 2 ears are 2 tvachim, like you can see over here. 2 tvachim plus 2 tvachim is 4 tvachim. Plus 1 tefach on the corner is 5 tvachim. Plus another tefach on the other corner is 6 tvachim. 6 tvachim equals 1 amma. So now we have 3 ammas for the 3 graves, plus 1 amma for all the ear, for all the in-betweens. That's a total of 4 ammas. Everything makes sense now. The only thing that doesn't make sense, and the Gemara is going to discuss, where do we come up with 4x8? What numbers do you remember? 6x8, good. And what else? 4x6 and 6x8. We don't have a 4x8. That the Gemara is going to deal with. That's part of today's sugya. You found yourself a basic farce. So what do you do when you find I got to tell you, whoever was here on Yom Tov, I was struggling. I don't know where my things are. I had a pile of 20 pages, and some of them were not in order over there. Okay, it's fine. And I'm looking through each one. Okay, I want this one. Sometimes I do it on purpose, like I use it in the beginning of this year, and then I use the same one at the end of this year. I'm not going to print it twice. Now I'm looking for the one. It's over here. Each time was a minute to find it. Over here, it takes seconds. It's so much better, I believe, when it's on the screens. Also, I don't have to hold it up like this. The guy's in the back. Okay, so now, pretend that he found the 3 dead people over here, where the 3 arrows are. So, it's possible that it's like in this picture, that he found the bodies that belong to the cave, Ma'ara, where it says where it says 4x8, right over here, right? Maybe it belongs to this guy. Okay, so if that's the case, I have to go to the right of it. I have to go with the green arrow. You see the green arrow? I found 3 bodies with the green arrows. Forget the red arrows now. The 3 arrows. So I have to go all the way across. Maybe it's part of a cave. So I have to go past the 4x8 room, past the chutzner that's 6x6. That's where they do all the spedim. Then I go into the next one and look over there. So I have to search 20 amas, it says over here. Huh? Correct. And you have to go that way also. You have to go to the left as well. You have to go a little bit up too. You have to go down too. What if I found 3 bodies this way and they belong to the long wall? If I know for a fact they belong to the long wall, then I don't have to go, upwards. And that you save a little bit if you know for a fact. But in any event, you're going to have to search in all different directions, to the left of that, to the right of it, up, down. Okay. Now the question is that we're going to see in a second, where did you come up with 20? Even a guy from Panovich knows that you have one cave that's 8 amma. You have another cave that's 8 amma. That's how much? 16. Plus 6 for the Chatzar is how much? 22. Why does it want to say search 20? It's 22, not 20. Says the Gemara. Matzah 3 lines down. Matzah b'soiv esrei amma, b'ydik mimenu, u'lahalan esrei amma. He has to check 20 amma. Shiraglaim l'davar. It's obvious. Shilu mitchilu mitzoy noitlo is best to fasa. Shiraglaim l'davar. Period. Okay. Yeah. If you found a body, all these bodies, you're probably looking at a cemetery. So let's keep on looking. Let's keep on searching. Shilu mitchilu mitzoy. If you only found one guy, noitlo is fasa. Then you don't have to check. That's one. But since you found 3 bodies, now it's telling us that there's something going on here. If you found these 3 bodies within 4 amas, so they might be from the short wall, they might be from the long wall, not shmoina, until 8, because that's how they used to build. They used to build 4 by 8. Says the Gemara, Mani Rabbanon Amri Arba Amis Al Sheish. Okay, so now the Gemara just goes in. Rabbanon say 6, each cave is 6. So 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. Where did you get to 20? Reb Shimon, let's go to Reb Shimon. It's 8 plus 8 plus 6 is 22. Again, where did you get 20? Okay, we're going to stick with this one. If a person found many bodies and there are too many to make sense that they fit nicely in a 4 amma wall or 8 amma wall. So what does it tell us? If you found too many bodies, what does it tell us? Huh? What is it? No, there are too many. It doesn't make sense. Like a graveyard. In those days, there's no graveyard. What? The what?
It's temporary.
Oh, it's temporary, or it's what the Nazis did. I don't know. It's not a cave. It's not a normal base. It was a temporary. They threw them in there. They're all lined up like this. Yeah, it just comes to mind because we were over there in Europe. We weren't there, but one of the saddest places in Europe is a place that we were next to. We didn't go there, but we did see a place similar. But the famous place, everybody knows about it. What they explained is that the Nazis, they didn't know, they weren't proficient in killing. They didn't know how to do it in the beginning. They learned as they went along. So one of the things they made a mistake was they took away the children from the mothers. And that's a big no-no, because then the children get all worked up. And they wanted everybody to be calm. They wanted to kill everybody when they were calm. So they took away the children, hundreds, I think it was 800 or something. And they lied to them. They said, oh, your mothers are coming. The kids said the children chapped. And they started going crazy. And then they brought them to this big ditch. And they said, okay, the kids started running in all directions. It was a disaster for the Nazis. They had to start shooting them as they're running. Anyway, they took them all, threw them into the pit. And because they were going wild, they decided to bury all of them alive. And they buried all of them alive. And everybody knows that when people went there, 2-3 days later, the grave was still moving. It's not once in a while you have to think about it. It's almost Yom Kippur. The rishus that they did. I'll say this again because I can't get over this one rishus. Obviously, everything they did was much more rishus than this. But just to explain one thing, and I said it and I'll say it again. One of the things that I couldn't believe, you can't believe anything there. Like what they did. Killing one person, you can't believe. But that the head of Medanik built himself a bathtub, which is still there, 10 feet away from the ovens, 10 feet away so that he could warm the water to his bathtub. You take a nice bath, a bubble bath, while they're burning the bodies 10 feet away from him. Not 1,000 feet away, 10 feet away. That's how removed they are from. Anyways, Shoy Marur. So, If you find a bunch of bodies, this is not how we bury. There's not, something went wrong here. There must have been some pogrom, I don't know what, and they found the bodies. So when they bury like that, the bodies are not kind of the makkah. So what do? Yesh lem tfusa vein lem shchunas kfaris. It's not a basic kfaris. So therefore you can move it. But you have to remove the dirt underneath, like we described, the soft dirt, and then 3 tfachim. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda Omer, but we skipped the main part here. It says, vein benem me arba amos at shmoina. So you ask me, where did you get this number 4x8? Here it is, 4x8. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda Omer, Reb Shimon roim same tzoim kilo einam. Oh, let me show you what we did real quickly, Motzei Yom Tov, because I didn't have this for the shir. You see the top right. You see there's a lot of graves over there, double than the regular. So what you do is you pretend that you don't have a lot of graves. Something like this. You see those? The three arrows are too many. So where you have an arrow, you just get rid of it. Halachically, you get rid of it. What's your problem? They have too many bodies? Okay, so halachically we'll get rid of 3 bodies. And then you have the remaining 4, and it becomes a basic faris. Too much is not a problem. Too few is a problem, basically, is what the Gemara is saying. Where do we see something similar? When it came to planting trees, we had too many trees, too many vines in the. So you pretend that some of them are not there. Okay. Royin, it's a halacha. It's a concept in Shas. Not everybody agrees to it. Some of you are thinking, why? Okay, so you're like the Chachamim. You pretend that the middle guys are not there, and then you're left with the halachically right amount. Okay, fine. So this is a new Reb Shimon. We saw Reb Shimon before who says 6x8. Here's another Reb Shimon that says 4x8. Okay, so you're asking, how do you find such a mara? There's such a mara. There's a cave 4x8. But my came to Reb Shimon. You told me that it goes according to Reb Shimon. So I just want to pause there for a second. I got to tell you the story I was going to say on Yom Tov. I'll say it over here. I'll start from a different story and go into that story that basically, when I was much younger, when my kids were younger, almost every year I go skiing with my kids. That's one of the family trips. We try to go to Vail usually. Vail in Denver, in Colorado, I'm sorry. For me, I like Vail the most. There's other places. We went over the years. Sometimes Switzerland, this, that, skiing. Kitzer, because I'm a little bit of a partner in some hotels, so I get like almost free rooms in certain franchises. So back then, still struggling. So, mama's cheapskate. I found that particular hotel, but it was like 30 minutes away from Vail. Okay, for free, why not? We go. Kids, so after a day of skiing, we get in the car, me and my 2 kids. My daughter who's married now for 7 years, she's probably maybe 9, 10 years old. And kids, you're talking about, I don't know, 17 years ago. Kids, go from Vail, we go towards the hotel, and it's the sleet coming down. There's a thin layer of ice on the highway. Not good. I felt the car, and then I see a truck next to me, literally sliding backwards. Get out of the way. I see him pulling over, hazards, then they put the chains on the whole highway full of trucks with the guys putting on the chains, and it gets worse and worse, and you're just seeing cars going, doing funny things. You try to go up a mountain and you're going slow and you're going backwards, and it's bad news. We get to the hotel in the nick of time. They tell us as we got into the hotel, you got here, wow, they just closed down the highway. And within minutes, people are trekking from the highway, left the cars on the highway, and walking into this place, into this little town. And coming to this hotel, and there's 0 rooms available. To make a long story short, the people, I'm talking about over 100 people, slept in the lobby, in the hallways. They were everywhere. They couldn't kick them out. These are stranded people, and you can't stay in your car because you'll turn into an icicle. There's only a certain amount of gas that you have in the car, fuel, and people just, you never saw such a thing. Just lined up, people sleeping on the floor. It was like that for a day and a half until I was able to, some person in the hotel told me, listen, if you take this in this road, that's open, keep on going that way. So we got out of there. Fine. Why am I telling you the story? That's a Maisa, another Maisa Shaya. There was a guy in this kind of situation who's stuck. You couldn't go anywhere. So he comes into town, he goes to hotels, no hotels. I was just explaining you. It really has nothing to do with this story. Just to explain to you how you can have a situation, 0 hotels. And why he was so desperate, he couldn't do anything. The only thing he could do is, he knocked on a nursing home. I need to sleep somewhere. So he said, oh, you're up. You're in luck. Kommt rein. A guy just died today. There's a fresh bed for you. So he goes into the room and he's about to go. He had no choice. No choice. It's either that on the floor in the supermarket. What are you going to do? So he takes the bed and he sees a name on the door. And he realizes it's a Jewish guy. So he goes to the head of the nursing home and he says, well, what's going on here? Jew? Yeah. He says, what are you doing with him? He says, we're cremating him tomorrow. So you can't cremate. Could I take him? Be our guest. He takes this dead guy, Maisa Shaya, takes this dead guy, puts him in his trunk. Rabbi Leder was here on Yom Tov and he told me the name of the person that did it. He's a guy from Manchester. I forgot the name, of course. Shalom, I don't know, something, Farkish, I don't know, maybe. Maybe we can find out from Rabbi Leder. You know what? We'll find out the next year. His son-in-law comes, we'll find out. So, he takes him and drives and he gets pulled over by the cops and they put him in jail for 40 years. That's not what happened. He drives all the way to Borough Park and he knocks on the Chaver Kedisha door. He says, I got a gift for you. Check out my trunk. And they said, okay, that's $12,000. So what? No. You want us to bury? There's a price. He said, but I'm doing a mitzvah. Do yourself a mitzvah. You know what? Here, there's an organization that they mamish for this. People that nobody knows them, and they bury them. He goes to the organization, and he says, and he finds out that the guy that funds the entire organization is the guy that he has in the trunk. The guy in the trunk, Maisa Shaya, the guy in the trunk is the guy that funded this organization. And he happened to find his body in, I forgot where it was, in Iowa somewhere. Crazy place. No Jews. Because Baruch Hu put him there, made a storm. He happened to be in the guy's room, took him. He got what a chesed that is, to take a dead person in your trunk, next to your wife's gefilte fish and everything for Yom Tov, and put it in there. Yep. Maisa Shaya. Ask Rabbi Leder, I'll tell you the name of the person. It's a it has to do with burying the dead and Rosh Hashanah, how the whole world, everything has a cheshbon, everything is... All right, Zog the Gemara. B'may kumte ki Reb Shimon name is Sefer boy the Gemara lalas from Amma mani Reb Shimon es retired in Avion. Ira bonon tam in Avion. So the Sefer says that you check 20 Amma. Ask the Gemara, but if it's Reb Shimon is 22. 8 plus 8 plus 6 is 22. Rabbanan tam in Avion. 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. Loyal Rabbanani. Ukiga in the bottom balach soina. So the Gemara, very simple. It's Rabbanan. Rabbanan say each Mara is 6. So 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. But he says no. One of the caves he checked on an angle. And once again, every square is the diagonal is 1.4. But over here it's not a square, it's 8 by 4 or 8 by 6. So the diagonal is 7.2. So you round it off to the next highest number, which is 8. So it turns out that one of the caves, instead of being 6, 6, and 6, is 6, 6, and 8. Because you're going on an angle. Why are you doing it on an angle? Because you want to check more. You want to make sure that you're not missing any bodies. Any bodies. Maybe there's a little one. Maybe there's a nafel somewhere. So one of them you go on an angle. That's the Gemara. Maybe both of them should be on an angle. Hey, check this one out. Where am I? Wrong one. This guy. Check both of them on an angle. So now you're up to 24. 22, sorry. 8 plus 8 plus 6, 22. Says the Gemara, the Gemara even does the math for you. It's 22. We're not going to force a guy to check, go out of his way and check both caves. You check one, you don't find anything out of the order, you're good to go. By the way, another Gewaldige Maisa. Do we have we have a few minutes. The Sheva Chaim, sponsored by, it's the new sponsor? Let me see if I can find it here. Sorry. Turning of the Daf. Tishrei, the Belsky family. You look in the back of your chairs or look in the chair in front of you, you'll see. In memory of Simcha Beryl David Alav Shalom ben Avram Moshe, that's their young son who's Nifter, who's the Shaman should have an Aliyot. Like Innovations LLC, in honor of my uncle, Horav Elchonon Pressman, and officials, should be a zchusim, V'kiv Simcha ben פיגא, a shidduch for Rav Kiyuz Bas Yafachaya, and thank you to Eli Stefansky for selflessly giving up her husband for the Klal. Should be a zchusim for a year filled with mazel, bracha, tzlocha, barnos, berevach, and refuah. Amen. So the Shefa Chaim of Tzanz said over Maisa, he said there's a woman who used to daven and cry every single day that she should be buried in the Ramah's basic forest next to the Ramah. So they told her it's a tefillah shav because nobody's been buried there for over 100 years. There's no point of davening for something like that. No, she used to cry and beg and beg and beg. Sure enough, the day she was nifter, there's a massive storm. As the Sheva Chaim says over the story, the Chaver Kedisha got confused and they took the wrong path. Instead of going to the old basic forest, they went to the new one, they went to the old one, and they buried her there. She got her wish. But the Sheva Chaim said, he says, look, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers tefillos that we know. But that HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers dumb tefillos that that's also a chiddush. And this is a dumb thing to daven your whole life for. HaKadosh Baruch Hu listened to her. He gave it to her. That's what he said. Zog the Gemara. Virami. Sorry. Rav Sheshe Berei Rav Idi Omar all the way on top. Loi Lo Reb Shimoni. This goes according to Reb Shimon. And what's your question? According to Reb Shimon, 8 plus 8 plus 6 equals 22. How did you get to 20? This is Gemara. We're talking about, if you look, I did the best I could. Benefile, basically the cave on the left. The chambers are very small. They're for miscarriages. So the actual cave is a smaller cave. I'm just compare. Look at the right. The chambers on the right are for regular humans, and the one on the left, tiny little babies. So they don't need a big mara. So it's actually 6 plus 6 plus 8, not 8 plus 6 plus 8. One mara is a sixer. Why are both caves not for miscarriages? Thomas Ravin, that would make it 18. It doesn't make sense. There's not that many miscarriages. Enough is enough. One terrible cave is enough. Now we're just going to ask a very, very simple question. This idea, take a look at it for a second. Here. You see how on the top right we discussed this? There's so many bodies laying there. So according to Reb Shimon, what do? We take them off. We pretend they're not there. That would mean that if we have too many grapevines, so let's talk about that halacha real quickly. If you have one vine of a grape, you're not allowed to plant wheat next to it. How far do you have to distance yourself from that one plant? Anybody? Who said 6 tvachim? Because you do chazara. 6 tvachim, we had it recently. 6 tvachim. But if it's part of a vineyard, then you have to distance it. How much? 4 amas, says Reb Shabsai. 6 tvachim, 4 amas, Shabsai knows. So now what if you have too many trees? It's not a vineyard, it's not halach, it's too many. So Rabbanan say, according to Reb Shimon, what should you do? Wherever there's arrows, wherever there's trees, pretend they're not there. But that's not what Reb Shimon says. That's what Chachamim say by the vineyard. Reb Shimon says you don't do that. So we have a contradiction. When does he say it and when doesn't he say it? And how come Chachamim say you pretend the trees aren't there when it comes to the vineyard? And over here, when it comes to the graves, they don't say it. So we have Fakir Tashita. Says the Gemara. If you have a vineyard that has less than 4 amas between the vines, so it's not really a vineyard. You see? So take a look at what Yoshi did for me. I asked him to do. I said, if it could take you 5 minutes, then you do it. If not, not, because Motzei Shabbos is crazy. So very simple. What he did, I asked him to remove where the right part of the red arrow is. I asked him to remove that whole. Boom. He took it out. So the power of Photoshop. So, anyways, you pretend it's not there. Pretend Allah is not there. Now you have a nice vineyard of 5 amas, whatever it is. Who says that? It should have been Reb Shimon that says that. Allah. Who says it? Karen Reb Shimon says you don't do that. It's not a good vineyard. They're all of a sudden they're saying royin. You pretend some kiloenam. How come when it comes to the vineyard, Rabbanan say Royin, we pretend it's not there. When it comes to graves, they don't say it. And when it comes to graves, Reb Shimon says Royin, we pretend the graves are not there. But when it comes to the vineyard, he doesn't say it. So Gemara says, beautiful. Shalom Aleichem, I missed you, Taka. I haven't seen this kid since the beginning of this month. Reb Shimon had Reb Shimon like Kashia. Shivik Tanas is stealing my Talmidim. A bunch of them. Every year we lose a bunch. They go to Yeshiva. Baruch Hashem. Says the Gemara, Reb Shimon like Kashia. Why? Basically, we're going to use logic in both directions. Who plants a vineyard, think to himself, I'm going to uproot some of these grapes. When there's too many, I'll uproot them. You don't do that. But when it comes to dead people, unfortunately, you're rushing against the Shkia and Shabbos, and you drop the dead all in a big pile. You say, I'll come back on Motzei Shabbos. Yeah, just it's not a good thought, but somebody that's involved said, after 3-day Yom Tov, what goes on with these, there's a lot of mason. There's situations where they can't handle it. And now all of a sudden, Shkia. Yeah. So they just put it there. They say, okay, we'll take care of it at a different time. But nobody plants a tree and says, I'll take care of it later. That doesn't make any sense. So in Mela, there's a svara to say, remove the bodies, pretend they're not there, and it's a good burial. The Rabbanon Namile Kashya, and also you could say, if I carry the svara, when you pile up bodies like that, that's disgusting. That's not the proper way to do it, and therefore it's not called a Beis HaKfaras. Hasam, but when it comes to trees, Meima Omar, it's possible that a farmer, a planter, whatever you want to call him, he'll plant a bunch of trees. And they're too close in proximity to be called a vineyard. But what is he doing? He says, Meimar Omar, he says to himself, hey, Minai, the shopper. Let me check out which one is Rabbi Israel, אתה זוכר מה שהשבר שלך אמר, איך קראו להוא שלוימי Adler. Oh, so now we have a name. Shloime Adler, from Manchester. Let me plant a bunch, and the good ones I'll keep, and the ones that are not good are not. And that's why it makes sense that sometimes they uproot vines from the vineyard. With the loy shapir, and whatever's not good, I'll use it as firewood. Hadran alocha moiche peiros. Hadran alocha moiche peiros. Hadran alocha moiche peiros. A good gebench. Yorg machasim toivo.